Hello, I'm speaking with former Southend Mayor and Mayoress John and Pat Lamb about the mayoralty in Southend and their time as the town's first citizens. Hello, John. Hello, Pat. If we may,
Right.
I'd like you to tell me something about the mayoralty, its history, traditions, and role in Southend. Then perhaps we could talk about your time as Mayor and Mayoress.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hello, Mark.
Hello.
It's good to see you.
And
And
you, you're both looking
yeah,
very well, I must say.
Thank you, thank you.
when you think the mayoralty, I mean, we are now in the 100th mayor. Margaret Bolton, who's just taken over from us, she is the 100th mayor for Southend. I was the 99th. But of course, it's not 100 years, it's more than that. It goes back into the 1890s, when in fact Southend was first become a borough, and the mayor was adopted 1892. And where with that is that our chain was actually donated by the first mayor, Dowsett, and he in fact was a very good, gracious man who was one of these who actually donated a lot of money and grounds and so on, did tremendous work. As we've been fortunate throughout the mayoralty history, that a number of people, if you take R.A. Jones, who donated all the parks and so on, a number of lands, so many different people, that the history is fantastic for Southend. Because when you think Southend originally started as small towns and villages, it grew up because it was the south end of Prittlewell. And that's how it got the name of Southend, where it grew up, where we became a whole town, taking in all the different wards. And if you look at the actual crest and so on, you know, you've got St. Clement's, you've got representations for Leigh, you've got Eastwood, you've got South Church, and you've got the other ones of Prittlewell, where it is that we actually have come together and formed that town to make sure that we've grown. And now, of course, we're looking to become a city, because we are larger, really, than Chelmsford, who last got made a city. But of course, they've got a lot of rural stuff, rather than us, which is much more urbanized. And in fact, if you look at the housing, it's far closer with all of it. The density of housing is far greater than it is at Chelmsford. But as we've grown through, each mayor during the First War and even the Second War, they had to do longer than a year. A normal term is only 1 year. But they had to do longer because of the fact the war, of course, everyone was going off fighting. So they stayed in post, and that happened to a number of them. And that's why we're only 100 mayors as such. And even my term, I was very fortunate, albeit for the wrong reasons in a way. COVID meant that we had to roll over. We was asked to do that, and we were very happy to do that because it supported the town. And part of our role as mayor and mayoress is to support the town and to support all our residents and all our businesses, everyone, charities and so on. And why it was so important for us, and we made the decision that while we were in the mayoralty, we would not take any leave, because if people wanted us to be there, it was our role to be there to support them. And that's what we did for both years, albeit on the second year, we had to do most of it virtual. So we were doing a lot of videoing. We were doing various video films that we went, and we couldn't do all the visits we would have liked to have done. But our first year, we did so many visits and so on, over 370 odd visits that we did. We raised £21,000 for the Southend Lifeboat charity, and for prostate in our second year, we're raising money for them as well. I think we're over 5,000 now.
And you're continuing to raise money?
Yes, we're still doing that. Prostate is an ongoing charity, and I have said to the trustees of prostate, I am very happy to continue to be involved in that, and anything I can do to support, I will do it. And it's an important charity. I know we have all of the charities are important, and all of them you could make really strong cases for of why they need the funding. Under COVID, very difficult for them to raise the funds to go out and actually collect. So what we've said is we will do it, and we're still trying to organise different functions where people can come along and make donations. And as I say, ladies quite often have the breast cancer, quite rightly so. There are various other cancer charities, but we said we would do the prostate one, which again is one for men. And what it means is if we actually raise the funding, we can buy equipment for less intrusive research early. When someone's diagnosed with prostate, they can get it much earlier, and they don't have to do operations. They can actually identify what needs doing and the treatment they need, and it can prevent that intrusive surgery where it goes.
I'm going to take you back a bit, because I think it would be really helpful for people to understand a little bit more about exactly what it is a mayor is. Why have we got a mayor? Is it a good idea? Those kind of things. Can you tell me a little bit? I know that's quite a wide brief, but can you give me some of the history in that way, please?
Yeah, I mean, the mayor himself, what is to do is he is deemed to be the first citizen of the borough, and therefore is important to represent the borough with whatever happens. So if we get important guests, and we have had the Queen, and we've had Princess Margaret when she was alive, the Queen Mother, a number of them, the mayors meet the important VIP. And they are then not only meeting them, they're conducting them around for whatever reason the visit is. They also take them to Porter's. Now, Porter's, as you know, used to be a farmhouse many, many years ago. And we actually only bought it in about 1932. Before that, it was a building. It wasn't ours, but it got into dilapidation and so on. And the council bought it and made it the mayor's official residence. It's a grade 1 listed building, right? And with that, they did it, and we have to work hard to maintain it. And it is all part of our remit that it has to be maintained. There used to be bedrooms in Porter's. They got done away with, and it has become a working building, but we can hold functions and we can entertain there our visitors who come, so that we make sure we've got somewhere we can take them that isn't just in the civic centre. It's an important venue because we use it for staff training as well as councillors getting together, but we actually bring people in from the borough to come to some of those functions and be introduced to whoever it is so they can meet them. We do presentations there. The whole building is run very much on business lines to make sure it is maintained, kept up to date, and is available for anyone. We now actually use it for weddings. So if in fact people want to get married at Porter's, they can get married there. There are controls and restrictions, but they're not that bad. It's like you would have in any place else, like where we had marriages on the pier. Same sort of thing. And that way we can use it and make sure we're earning from it to maintain the property. The grounds, as I say, was very much where it was a farm. At one time, you could look from Porter's all the way to the sea with no housing, you know, if you go back far enough. Yeah, and exactly. If you can imagine that, there was no housing there. It was all green fields. But of course, we still have in the centre of the town this actual property, which is deemed by many to be the jewel of our crown. And it is. If you look at the history, every mayor that has been there, there is a photograph on the wall in the mayor's parlour. And that with their names and who they were is there. Now, as I say, when you think of the chain, it's an antique chain. Every actual badge that is on there has the mayor's name. One time they were looking at, when we were running out of badges, how do we actually keep it for the new mayor without having to buy a new badge every time? And if you look at the actual chain itself now, you will see under each badge a little drop down actual piece of gold that has been put onto it.
Oh, wow.
With that mayor's name and the year they were mayor. You know, so it continues. So it is handed down each time. And of course, it's very important. I made it clear when I was mayor, I want to wear the antique chain because that's what people, our residents, want to see.
Mm.
We do have a day chain, much lighter, you know, and it's not as prestigious as that chain, the mayor's actual chain is. And of course, again, another mayor made, and I can't recall the name offhand, but actually made donation for the mayoress to have a chain. So when there is a mayor and mayoress, we each have our own chain. They are different, but the mayoress's is a very nice chain, gold chain, and it's got pearls and various other things. I mean, do you want to comment on that? Because you enjoyed it.
Well, very
Hey,
decorative.
Pat,
Lovely.
you could probably talk about that. Is it heavy?
No, it's light. And we did wear pins in our clothes underneath where the seams are, so that we could tie ribbons to hold it in place so that it didn't drop down and look untidy. I wanted it, and John as well, with the mayoral things. In fact, when we used to go shopping, people would say, why has he got ribbons in his jacket? But it was just because we keep taking them out. We left the pins in, and we've handed them over to Margaret and the ribbons and things, because it keeps it in place and it looks nice. You know, it looks lovely.
Mm.
It was an honour to wear it.
Yeah.
And of course, from there, you know, that again is passed down to each mayor and mayoress. We're not allowed to keep it at home. You know, there's no way, it's too valuable. It goes into various safe where it is kept locked away and secure. Won't tell you where. So no, it's not because of you, Mark. I think there's others who might watch the video. So you know, but it's kept safe and so on, and that's where the mace bearer comes in. I mean, we're very fortunate in Southend that Adam Tregoning, who is our mace bearer, and also he leads the role from the staff for helping the mayor and mayoress all duties, getting the engagements involved, all in the diary. And he's got various staff that help him, but he is the one who actually makes sure that everything is done properly. The protocols are properly adhered to, because there is quite a bit of protocol work that you have to understand how it is you approach people, how you speak to people, what you say and how you do it. And he is very keen to make sure, there is to make sure that you are respected as the first citizen where you go, and quite rightly seen to be the person that is in fact there to represent the whole town, and that includes all of us. It's not party political. No. We do not do it under politics. You take no part in the political side of the council over the year you're in, or 2 years as it was for me. And it is all done on a basis that when you first become councillor, you immediately go on the mayor's list, right? And it goes on then, and you build up seniority over the years that you're a councillor. And even if you got voted off, right, you don't lose those years. They stay there. Right? So that then if you come back and get re-elected at another time, you don't start from zero, you start from where you stopped. And therefore you build up, and you build up the years until, and it roughly takes 13 to 14 years to become a mayor, you know, in seniority. But then you have to be also elected by your councillor colleagues. It doesn't just get accepted, oh, you got the time in, so you can do it. It has to go before council. People propose you and second, and that has to be accepted. There is a vote on it, on whether or not you should be allowed to be the mayor. So you're looking for good character for the individual going on, because they are representing the town. I mean, when we went to Buckingham Palace garden party, we were fortunate one year that the Duke saw the chain and he liked it and so on and wanted to talk about it. You also got bishops that we had, and they wanted to talk to us. Your chain is the best chain we've seen all day since we've been here, you know. And where do you come from? And we say with pride, Southend-on-Sea. We are the Mayor and Mayoress of Southend-on-Sea, and it's fantastic because we are actually promoting our town. We are selling it, and we, in the way we address people, the way we talk to people and carry ourselves, show what we are for Southend, and I think that's very important. Having been a lieutenant commander with the Royal Naval Reserve as such, I always wanted to be dressed smart and properly, because that was what you should be. And it's the same with the mayoralty. I mean, when we had we couldn't wear the robes, which is all part of the whole role, then it was, am I dressed right? We had to do a VE Day remembrance. And of course, we didn't have the parade, which we normally do, and we would normally take the salute for the parade. But we still went there, and I was there in my frock coat with top hat to make sure that we properly represented our veterans, and for the people we were remembering, you know, in VE Day and as we did VJ Day. And each of those have a strong meaning, because Pat's dad was at the D-Day landings. My father was out in Japan, well, not in Japan, it was in Burma. He was fighting in Burma. And so I'm lucky to be here because Dad got home from the war. If he hadn't have done, I not necessarily have been here. So to me, they have great meaning, you know, and so that's what it's about. And on the robes, if you look around all the mayoralties right throughout, everyone has the mayoralty robes, and they used to be ermine at one time on some of the collars and furs and so on. That all got changed, and of course we don't have furs, real furs now, but it is done. And of course it's the proper dress, and you have the hat, which is a bicorn rather than a tricorn. Ladies have the tricorn if they're the mayor, but we have a bicorn. And of course, one of my gifts to the town, because our bicorn hat was getting a bit ribby, and I said, I'm not going in a ribby one, so we bought a new one. Adam got it, and I said, no, I'll pay for that. It's one of my gifts to the town. And of course, you do, as the mayor, you make gifts to the town. Some of the other things we did was for porters in the gardens, so that when people had a garden party, they had some lovely umbrellas and seats and so on they could sit at. And even in case of foul weather, we got gazebos that they could put up as well to protect them. So, and all those are gifts. And of course, it is then going along. And it's wonderful when you see, when we get invited, I know Pat enjoys it, I'll let her say it later on. But when we get to some of these different charities, and you see the young people and the children and some of the older people that have got illnesses and so on, they love you to go and talk to them. And when you can talk to them and they can talk to you, we had one young couple where we went to, it was a homeless thing, and the charity, St. Vincent's charity, were helping them get home, and they were feeding and giving them all sorts of things where they were helping people. And we were invited to an afternoon tea, and these two young people had got together and had got married, you know, and they'd got home and so on. And they said, oh, we don't know how to talk to the mayor and mayoress. How can we talk to them? We've never spoken to them. And St. Vincent's people said, just talk to them normally. They will talk to you normally. And that's what we did. And it was a wonderful afternoon. You know, we all had a nice time. So there are some lovely things that we do and get involved. When we went to, was it Diwali? Where,
Ordinarily,
an Indian festival we got invited to, and we went along, and they gave us, they were putting on a show as well, but it was celebrating their Diwali, and we went along there. And they gave us some bits to eat and so on as they went through, and we thought, oh, this is going to be the meal and so on. And then when we got up to leave about 9 o'clock, we've been there since about 5. Yeah, we've been there about from 5. And we got up to say, well, we'll have to be leaving now. Oh, you've got to have your meal yet. And they hadn't done the meal. These are just things, you know, to,
but
and it was great.
When I walked in, because of all the saris, the children, they were beautifully dressed. I said to them, I feel underdressed, because I had a hat on, obviously. And so they said, oh, come with us. They went outside. I couldn't take the chain off, but they were talking away. I didn't understand. And they came in with this Indian dress, and they said, put that over. Oh. And then they put a little thing on my forehead, and we finished. I said, oh, I'll take it off. And they took it away. No, would you like to keep it? What an honour.
That's lovely.
You know?
Yeah.
It makes you feel humble, because no matter what culture we went to, they made us welcome. And we, as we said, we came as a couple like Laurel and Hardy, things like that. It's, you know, and when we walked in, I'd never done anything like this. John was always been, I'm the housewife and be out. But we used to go in, and he went first, Adam, all protocol. But I used to say, I'm with him. And then they'd laugh, and then they'd say about the hat. So,
sure,
you know, it was just be normal, you know.
I know you were very, very well known for your hats all along the way, weren't you?
It was lovely. It was something in my life that I never expected, and it was a great honour to be able to do it. You know, really enjoyed it.
Speaking as a mayoress, obviously people tend to think of the mayor, but it's both of you, isn't it? It's it's not just the mayor and his wife or husband, whichever way it goes.
We went as a couple. I was by his side, but then I thought, that's what you did, like wearing a hat and gloves. I thought from years ago, I was born in 36, so I'm that old. And I thought when we used to go out, it used to be a little hat, gloves and umbrella, because nobody had cars. So I thought, doing something important to represent the town, what do I do? Whether people want to do it or not, that's up to them. But even when I go shopping now,
people ask you,
you know, oh, excuse me, can I just say how? But I said people should dress more. Well, you know, and it's lovely. Some of the children, some of the people say, oh, you look like the Queen. It's just the outfit, the shape. It's not the face.
Yeah. we were asked to open a children's little play area, you know, down around Milton and so on. And we said, yeah, quite happy to go there and so on. And when we got there, we were shown all around, and it was a lovely little thing they'd done for the children. And of course, I did the necessary of cutting the ribbon and saying a few words. But of course, there were children there playing on a blanket with their toys and so on. So Pat just went down and joined them and sat down there and was playing with them.
And then we had the tarantula I had and the snake, and I was happy. Yeah, fine, you know. It was great. It's been a wonderful experience. You know, wearing a nice dress or whatever, and some of the children, oh, I love your dress, you know, and the children, the girls especially, the little girls, you know, and things like it. It's just lovely. I can't say how it makes you feel that, you know, as a child, we used to dress smart to go to Sunday school. Mum never had much money in the East End, you know. But I went to tea with the mayor when I was 15, leaving school. We went to the foundation stone laying of a new school. And 5 of us were invited to tea with the mayor at East Ham Town Hall. You never spoke to them, and you sat there, and it stuck in my mind. I met the mayor, you know, and them to be able to do it. And I thought, I couldn't go into a room and stand there, because people might think, I think I'm better than they are. So that's why I always, and they say I could speak for England once I get going.
That's why I won't let her too much.
But it's an honour, and the hats might go on display in the museum, so they say.
Oh, right.
Areas.
The museum have asked us, would we be okay to do a display of the mayoress's hats? She's got over 70, isn't it?
Yeah. People have given them to me,
and we've said yes, we'd be quite happy. And of course, what we're looking at is, once we're finished, once COVID's out the way, is how they will then do a display and let people see the type of hats that she wears, and that she has worn for various occasions. Yeah.
Right.
And this is where, as I say again, you get some of the people that look at them and they like that, and they've made a number of remarks about her hats and so on, and why. I know we had the actual media part of it where it was shown, the hats and people were saying and how she got the name Pat in the hat, so so it's a nice thing, and it's a nice recollection. And of course, with all the things that we do, there are people taking photographs. The mace bearer is taking photographs, or the deputy mace bearer, depending who's there. And of course, at the end of the year, the mayor gets presented with a lovely album of all the sorts of things they've attended, the mayor and mayoress have attended, with the photographs. So you've got a record of your time as mayor and mayoress, and it's fantastic. It's lovely, and that's where people, again, I think, appreciate when you do go there, because, as you said, it makes it look important for them and when you go. And I know some of the cadet forces have asked us, scouts and so on, where we are only too happy to go along and support the organisations, whether it be presentation evening, whether or not it's to do with maybe we've had an Admiralty inspection, so we go along to show that we are keen to support all our young people, but we also support all our veterans and all the different organisations that we have in the town. And there are tons of them that are doing a tremendous job, tremendous amount of work. And Southend would be Southend without all the work they do in support of all our residents that are having difficulties in one way or another.
I wanted to do the lifeboat, the dip again this year, but they wouldn't let me do it. Boxing Day dip.
Yeah. Because did it the first year,
yeah. I raised £1,200 for the lifeboat. So that was good.
You said in the first year you did, was it 340 events?
370 engagements.
Yes.
70 odd engagements.
Yeah.
There's only 365 days in the year. So that's an incredible number. You must have been absolutely exhausted that year doing that.
I think that's what caused my problem with the heart failure. I was trying 4 events a day and trying to keep up with the indoor things you have to do.
We did get the odd day when we didn't have anything on.
But
some days we did have 2, 3 or 4 engagements, and we used to sometimes go from one onto the other, and that's where the mace bearer again is watching the time and saying, Mr. Mayor, we have to make a move, so you'd say all your goodbyes and so on, and we'd then move off and try and get to all of them on time, because time was a big thing. We needed to manage that time, and when we got there, it was well received, and we loved it.
People have said to me, oh, do you miss it? It's nice not to have to keep thinking of what you've got to do the next day. What I've got to wear, I've got to do this. The thing I miss, I say most, is the people that supported us, like Adam and the chauffeurs, because they were there all the time. They're more like family now, it's me, and their support staff, really grateful to them.
Yeah,
really
and when you think, see again the history with the mace bearer, when you think the mace, if you go back into history of the old knights and so on, was a weapon of war. right, where it is that they used to carry it, and it was like a huge club, you know. It comes down now that I know field marshals have their mace batons, but in fact, it comes with the mace bearer as the guardian, if you like, of the mayor. But it's also the guardian of the chain, as well as the mayor. I always remember poor old Tony North once. He was coming alongside the pier in a boat, and he had the big chain on, and he slipped, you know, what was going in the water with the big chain on. And of course, everyone was shouting, "Grab the chain! We can always get another beer, but you can't get another chain," you know. But and he was all right; he was fine, you know. But he did get wet feet that day. But it's the sort of thing, you know, and that's where it is nice, where you can see these little things that we do go out, because if you take sailing is an important part around our coast with the barges. We used to have the barge race. We have a lot of sailing clubs. So it's nice when we go. And normally we haven't been able to do it with COVID, but each sailing club normally has what they call they're at home. And it's their day of inviting all the others. And when you sailing club, and when you think we have over 8 miles of coast, we get invited to go along there and see them and meet all of them and the sailors, because it's a great thing. Then you've got all the scout organisations. I mean, in Old Leigh, you've got 4th, 6th scouts. You've got the Chalkwell Bay, you know, area, and there, if you take the work they do, tremendous for our young people, and they are training our young people to become good, decent adults, and that helps our whole borough all the way, because we can see how young people are being brought up.
But the last event we did, our last event was M&S, and they said they're opening the tea bar. They wanted Pat, and the girl said, "We want Pat in the Hat," that's the staff, to open the tea bar. So they did a bit of a red band, and we went, and while the you know, and John presented. They said, "Do you mind presenting 2 10-year badges to 2 of the staff?" And they thought it was lovely, you know, to be able to do that. It made it special for them, and that's what it's all about, making it. We're not the special ones; they are. Everybody that where we've been, the police, the boat, every service, they're the ones that do the work. We just go to say thank you on behalf of the residents.
Yeah, and that's when with COVID, in our year, in the COVID year, after it started to ease a little bit, the hospital, NHS hospital, had a little lunch get together. We were invited to go along so we could give them our thanks on behalf of the town and all the residents for all the work that they did, you know, and are still doing right the way throughout these difficult periods, you know, and that was appreciated, wasn't it, very much.
Is there anything else that you can think of that we haven't touched on? I'm mindful that I'm taking your time.
I think I just want people to know that the mayor and mayoress, regardless of it being us, that I think, as John said, you're representing the borough to say thank you, even those that people that don't perhaps like it and don't believe in politics. It's not political, but somebody's got to do it. When people say on the doorstep, "Oh, we do this," but to be able to go and on behalf of everybody to say thank you, that one person dressed up makes those people, must make them feel special, you know.
And one of the other main roles of the mayor is I have to chair all the full council meetings, right? So when we have, that's 51 councillors there, I chair those meetings. Trying to keep them in order can be a bit difficult at times, but of course you have to, and you make it clear to them, and if necessary, you get rather strict with them, and say you will not do that, sit down or leave the meeting, you know, because you let them do just what they think. There is protocol to follow, and you have to manage that meeting. And even during COVID, we had to do it all remotely on the video. So we'd have a Teams video where it would that all 51 would be on the video and so on, and I would be doing it. My mace bearer was helping me, because when people were putting their hands up that they wanted to talk, because if need be, I could cut them off. You know, no, you have your time and you are told, that's it. So you regulate that, but it meant we got the council business done. And that is important, again, for the town, that business continues. It goes on. Even during the circumstances of COVID, we are running the town and we're doing it to the best ways that we can. And of course, we had to alter the way we worked.
Sure.
But it came out very well, you know, and we were very fortunate to actually experience that, because it was the first mayor to experience a pandemic since the 1920s.
I think I'm right in saying that if you're chairing as the mayor, the only political bit that you would do is if there's a deadlock, you'd get the casting vote. Is that correct?
That is right, but there is a protocol to that as well.
All right.
But when you're first asked to be the mayor and you do sign, and you have to sign a declaration, you're asked, would you have a problem, in fact, when there is a vote, on casting your vote? You should do it for the administration, whoever that administration is. You should come down on the side of the administration, unless you have a very strong principled reason that you could not vote for that. You should come down for the administration, so the business of the council gets through and it is not just being blocked.
That's really interesting.
There was one such vote, which I did make it clear, because I'd signed the protocol that I would, you know, cast my vote normally, unless it was such a principled thing. I'd have to say, no, I can't do that, in which case I'd explain. Excuse me. But what it was they were trying to strengthen, there was a motion that had been put before the council to strengthen legislation about travellers and so on. And of course, the opposition wanted to strengthen the actual laws and so on and actions on that, but the administration wanted to leave it the same. My personal view was, no, we should be strengthening that and we should be taking action, but the vote was level. Because normally I would say, Mayor, you know, no vote. And by saying no vote, it would, but of course, it went to no vote. I said no vote on the first time round. So it was gone that it was level. So it was then, Mr. Mayor, you have the casting vote. And I said, I'll make it very clear that I am not in favour of stopping this. I'm in favour of strengthening the law. But I signed this protocol, in which case I will vote with the administration. And which I did. And of course, they won against that motion of strengthening the law, and it stays as is. But of course, next time I will be free of that, and I will be able to vote in the way I want. And if it goes to a level pegs, it'll be up to the next mayor to decide.
That's really interesting. I didn't realise there was that kind of protocol behind it. But and this is exactly what I was getting at earlier on, by trying to sort of explain to people and you know, pull the shrouds back a little bit, because I know things like the protocols. I've watched Adam before now with the chain very, very carefully, and you know, he said to me, no, it's got to be this, it's got to be like that. You know, there's a lot. I know there's a lot that goes on, a lot of rules and, as you say, protocols behind it all. And I just thought it'd be really interesting to try and put those out so that people who watch this get an idea of what it's all about, what's going on with it, you know. So,
well, it's like, I think people ordinary like I am, when people do things and all the crowd, you can't just go up and say, oh, thank you very much for doing that, we support you. But if there's someone that can do it on your behalf, you know, like the Mayor and Mayoress can, or the Mayor and the escort, then I think that's lovely, because you're doing it. You know, it involves you in some way, that somebody's doing it because you wanted to do it, but you can't always do it, you know. So I've really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do, because the position you're in, on certain visits and so on, you get the ear of other people as well, where you can actually put the words in that you want to say in support of where we want to be for the town and for the council. You know, and of course that all helps, because whilst you don't always get your way, people are listening and they think, oh, hang on, there's the point there, and they have to then look at it, and then that could change their mind.
When we went to that St Vincent's, that was what I was thinking. As soon as we got there for the afternoon tea, she ran up, she said, I tried to get a pair of rubber gloves for you that were fancy, because you said you'd always wash up for us, but not while you're doing the mayoralty. And I've got you a parasol because I know you like umbrellas. I mean, how nice is that?
Lovely, isn't
For
it?
people to think.
It's the thought, you
It's
know.
the thought. It really is appreciated, you know.
I'll tell you what,
Tremendous.
what's probably the last thing we do, obviously, if the mayor's gonna and the mayoress are gonna go somewhere, they need to be invited. So
Yes.
how does that happen? Who's allowed to have the mayor and mayoress go along? If you'd like to explain that, then hopefully
What
the next
would normally happen, and we have told a number of people
Yeah.
on how to do it, because we've said, look, we're happy to come along, but you've got to invite us. I can't just turn up in the mayoralty and so on. But if you contact the mace bearer, Adam, right, on his numbers and contact details,
and that'll be on the
then
website, I presume.
it's on the website, yeah. And in fact, I have the card, and I'll give you some of that. It's his office number is 01702 215 141, right? And in fact, it's the actual email is Adam Dragoni, all lowercase, at southend.gov.uk, right? And he will arrange, if you say to him, and he will ask questions, and there is some forms that need to be made, you know, filled out. He can either get the forms to you, or they will help you as well if need be. You don't know what to say on the forms, and they will then put that and see whether or not you're available. Because remembering there are still council meetings that I have to do and deal with, but there are also, it could be other things, like if you take next Tuesday is in fact the Veterans Day, Armed Forces Day on Tuesday evening. So we've got to be, well, I'm certainly going to be there. It's the civic service for Armed Forces Day as well at St Mary's Church, right? And that's at 5 o'clock. And of course, what we're trying to make sure of is that we can be at these various places. So we want to avoid clashes. But that's where the deputy mayor comes in, because if I cannot do an actual engagement, then the deputy mayor, he gets asked to attend, he or she, and that's why they represent the mayor when they go. And of course, one of the nice things is you travel in HJ1 as the mayor, you know, and that's a nice car. But of course, HJ1 registration, just in case, because not everyone realizes it, was the first registration for Southend-on-Sea.
Oh,
HJ was Southend-on-Sea, and of course one we got for the vehicle. So it goes back in history. HJ was Southend's registration when they first started having registered vehicles.
That's what I miss now. Nobody opens the door for me. I have to open the door myself.
Well, you never know. It may come round again.
Oh, I don't know. But I'm happy to go along and support the mayor, or whenever we're invited or we can go, not take a front seat.
No,
you know,
we're the past mayor.
We're the past mayor and mayoress.
And we'll always be a past mayor, as all the other past mayors. So we can attend these things. And of course, we do get a collarette presented to us. You know, again, it has to be agreed by council that you do, that if you've done a good job, they will present the mayor and the mayoress, or the mayor and the escort, with a collarette and a past mayor or mayoress's insignia.
Yeah.
You know, so that you can wear that on these occasions, like the civic service. I'm able to wear my collarette to show that I was a past mayor.
And mine's done as a brooch, you know, with a ribbon.
Yeah,
so-
yours,
Yeah.
ladies can have it as, they can have it as a collarette, but they have it as a brooch as
But
well.
Adam said no, because you wear your pearls. You'll have it. I like my pearls.
Man who knows his stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, we're sorry, we're very fortunate because Adam has been elected during my mayoralty as the prime warden, right, for the whole of England. So Southend has the prime warden of all Mace boroughs for the whole of England. And it's excellent. And he really does know his stuff. He's very, very good. And of course, he's there to help everyone. But of course, he certainly helps the mayor and the mayoress. And he runs all the office of the mayor as well. So he's got people that serve with him. So excellent way that it does. He looks after porters, you know, as well. And that's where we staff there, you know, and whilst it's not a huge staff, but they all do a brilliant job, excellent job. And of course, we're not like the Mayor of London or the Mayor of Manchester or any of those. We're not executive mayors. We are there very much for the ceremonial side and for monitoring and running all the different bits like council meetings and so on. But in fact, we are not the executive mayor to make those executive council decisions on where you spend this money or that money or whatever. Okay, so it is a different role. The mayor in these places, you know, in this format, is a different role to the executive mayors.
It's a figurehead representative rather than someone with power.
Yeah, the leader of the council has power,
Yes.
right? That's why they are the leaders of the council. The mayor is there to make sure that we represent the people and we speak up for the people when need be. That's what we're there for, and that's why you're deemed to be the first citizen.
That's brilliant. We'll leave it there, John. I think I've got plenty and I really appreciate your time.
That's it. Lovely. Have a good one. Take
Okay.
care, Mark.